was only setting her up for yes. Tell me how that's not fully rigged. Gavin Newsom be up to some shady stuff because the guy literally only gave her the option to vote yes. My 78-year-old mom. Thank goodness she's like wise and savvy, and she was like, no, and no, sir.
There's fraud in California's elections. It's just a fact. It is just a fact. They have a universal mail-in voting system, which we know is ripe for fraud.
The mayor of Coldwater accused of election fraud. The charges come hours after he secured a second term in office. Attorney General Chris Kobach charged Mayor Jose Joe Ceballos with 6 felonies, 3 counts each of voting without being qualified and election perjury.
But can you imagine when they vote almost unanimously against voter ID? All we want is voter ID. You go to a grocery store, you have to give ID. You go to a gas station, you give ID. But for voting, they want no voter ID. That's only for one reason, because they cheat. We would pass that in 15 minutes.
Storm's amazing right now. We are witnessing the destruction of the old guard day after day. No matter how hard the media works for the Dems, the people are learning about their schemes more each day. It's glorious. We have an amazing Do It Q post from Dan Scafino. I gotta tell you, folks, that stuff just gets me super excited. And with the big smiles and all, it makes it even better. So much more on the battlefield playing out before the people. We're going to cover it all the best we can into the weekend. The U.S. Senate defeats Democrat effort to block the president from amping up military efforts against Venezuela. Okay? So that was 49-51. Republicans who joined the Democrats were Rand Paul and Lisa Murkowski. Trump wins. Also, Rand Paul objected twice to Senator Kennedy's proposals that would not pay members of Congress during a shutdown. It's Rand Paul for you. He said, I don't want to pay less people during a shutdown. I want to pay more. He wants to make a permanent payday for his fellow crooks. And it's unreal. You talk about waking up to the corruption. Boy.
Yeah, look, Jackie, it's an absurd ruling because you have a federal judge effectively telling us what we have to do in the midst of a Democrat government shutdown, which what we'd like to do is for the Democrats to open up the government. Of course, then we can fund SNAP, and we can also do a lot of other good things for the American people. But in the midst of a shutdown, we can't have a federal court telling the president how he has to triage the situation. We're trying to keep as much turned on. We're trying to keep as much going as possible. The president and the entire administration are working on that, but we're not going to do it under the orders of a federal judge. We're going to do it according to what we think we have to do to comply with the law, of course, but also to actually make the government work for people in the midst of the Democrat government shutdown. If they would like to end this, we would welcome working with them to end this government shutdown, and then we wouldn't have to triage what we're going to fund and what we're not going to fund. And the last thing that I'll say is the American people are unfortunately about to start suffering some very real consequences because of the shutdown. In the past, when you had a government shutdown, you would have under the Obama administration, they would lean into all of the problems it was going to cause for the American people at the beginning of the shutdown. The president has told us to keep as much going as humanly possible, but after 30 days of this thing, 40 days of this thing, you're going to start seeing very real travel delays. That's because the Democrat government shut down. You're going to start seeing SNAP benefits run out. That's because the Democrat government shut down. They should stop this charade and open up the government. That's what we want them to do. We've been asking them to do it for 40 days. It's time.
It's time. There's Vice President Vance talking about all of this playing out before us. United Airlines now canceling hundreds of flights originally scheduled for today. This could have all been avoided if Democrats simply did their jobs. Instead, they chose chaos. Again, it's all blamed on the Democrats. The FAA will reduce flight capacity at 10% by 10% at 40 major airports across the country. Officials announced, and that's going to be affecting my family also because we've got plans, and we hope the shutdown will go away. But in the meantime, Ripcord put this out. It's very interesting. The Transportation Secretary, right, announced this airspace restrictions amid record government shutdown, right? But on Monday, Duffy also warned the Trump administration would shutter the U.S. aviation system if he thought an ongoing government shutdown was making it too risky to travel. Wow. So if you look at the November 5th, right, Duffy brought this up November 5th, stating there's going to be a reduction. But you look at November 5th, 2017, there's an eight-year delta. What happened when Saudi Arabia will actually happen here? Asia and the EU. Keep digging and keep organizing the info into graphics. Critical. God bless. Hillary and Saudi Arabia, Snow White, Godfather 3. Well, what happened? They said, keep digging. What happened in Saudi Arabia will happen here. Well, it says the Saudi purge, led by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, started in late 2017, was carried out through sudden arrest of prominent princes, ministers, and business leaders under the guise of an anti-corruption drive. Detainees were summoned for meetings, often at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Riyadh, which became a de facto prison. The government also grounded private jets to prevent anyone from leaving and froze bank accounts as part of the operation. Wow. So then, Duffy warned the Trump administration they're going to shutter the U.S. aviation system. Wow. What was one of the key aspects of the Saudi purge? What's one of the key? He shut down air travel to keep the corrupt ones from attempting to run and leave the country. What happened in Saudi Arabia will happen here. News unlocks the map. Could it be? Speculation. That all this is wrapped around keeping these criminals from fleeing when it all plays out. So if you guys go to the shutdown, you head over to the mainstream media. The media shutdown coverage. The pro-Democrat spin. They're light on facts. What do? They say that there's 83 statements favoring the Democrats on mainstream media, on CBS, ABC, and NBC. There's only 12 statements favoring Republicans. What is the shutdown demand? $24.6 million Honduras climate resilience, $13.4 million civic engagement in Zimbabwe, $3.9 million LGBTQI democracy grants, $2.9 million desert locust reduction in Africa. How much of this money do you think actually goes to that?
But when we say the 1.5 trillion, that is the actual counter offer that they put on paper and filed in the Senate. It is still sitting over there as their counter proposal. 1.5 trillion in new spending on a 7-week stopgap funding measure. I mean, it's just madness. And included in that, yes, go read the bill. They want almost $200 billion to be returned to healthcare benefits for illegal aliens. They want to send all these billions of dollars back over to foreign countries for social spending in other countries. They wanted to restore $500 million to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. All these things. And in that proposal, amazingly, shockingly to us, they put it on paper. They want to repeal the $50 billion rural hospital fund that Republicans worked so hard to get signed into law July 4th. So it's just a mishmash of priorities and things that different Democrats are claiming. That illustrates the very point. This was never about one particular issue. They just wanted to show a fight. They wanted to look tough to the Marxist rise in their party. And remember this, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are both New Yorkers, right? We all just saw what happened in New York City. Mamdani is all the rage now, and the young communists are uprising, and that scares the old guard Democrats in Congress.
The old guard is scared.
Prior to December 2021, my husband Larry was a healthy, active man with no health concerns or underlying conditions. He was a college lecturer and a successful musician, but that was all taken away from him on the 15th of December 2021. That was the day he received a COVID Pfizer booster injection in Oma Leisure Centre.
Well, that heartbreaking story from Larry Lowe's wife. She's talking because it's too hard for him to speak. Just because you didn't react immediately to the COVID jab, it doesn't mean you are in the clear. Mysterious symptoms and even deaths are surfacing months, sometimes years later. So you look at this, the VAERS reports show way more COVID vaccine injuries than something as common as Tylenol. And get this, experts estimate only 1% of cases are even reported. Plus, shedding means you could be exposed even if you skip the shot. Now, mRNA vaccines could be in our livestock, even organic. Why are mRNA vaccines different? It's the spike proteins. These proteins meant to train your immune system can interact with blood vessels and platelets, potentially causing clotting or inflammation. Overwhelming evidence shows millions are affected. So what's the solution? It starts with your gut. A healthy gut microbiome is the number one factor in fixing damage from vaccines, antibiotics, and the standard American diet. And the best way to boost gut diversity is kimchi. Studies like one from the National Institute of Health show kimchi's incredible power to restore gut health. But let's be real, eating kimchi daily isn't easy. That's where Bright Course Kimchi 1 comes in. Delivers 900 probiotic strains, live enzymes, and antioxidants in one convenient capsule. No mess, no taste. It supports digestion, energy, metabolism, immunity, and more. The And We Know listeners can get 25% off Kimchi 1 with code AWK at mybrightcore.com/AWK or call 888-317-9941 for up to 50% off plus free shipping today.
The $20 million that you set aside to help fund food banks statewide, do you know what happens with that now that it's half funded? Does that get added to the pot, so to speak? How much will be there for them this month?
SNAP is a 100% federally funded program. And so we're talking $90 million a week for Illinois is what normally would be provided for SNAP.
I was going to ask you, how big of a Band-Aid is that?
$20 million isn't enough. It just isn't. And we don't have enough money. $360 million in a month. We don't have an extra $360 million. We're going to do everything that we can, though. And remember, the distribution points are very important, and those are the pantries. And they do such great work already. So what we're going to try to do is fund them to make sure that they've got enough money to provide mostly dry goods. They won't be able to do the slightly more expensive, fresh goods that they often are distributing. But at least we're going to keep people fed for as long as we possibly can. And look, if we run out, we'll have to obviously come back and figure out where we're going to find more money to support, because we can't let people starve. I mean, we have too many people in this state. 1.9 million people are getting SNAP benefits in a state of 13 million people. And we can't let them starve.
Yeah. Where are they going to get their money from? He says, we'll come back together and we'll figure out where we're going to get our money from for all this. Man, that's not a scary statement. So moving forward, President Trump says the Democrats will terminate the filibuster in the first hour if and when they assume control or power. Republicans have what the Democrats want. We should do it now and have the greatest 3 years in history. And we keep hoping somehow the battle will play out and we'll finally say enough is enough. Everybody's waiting for it. Also playing out in the background is this Supreme Court possibly striking down the tariffs and making the United States pay back trillions to all the countries. We'll see.
Before the Supreme Court issues a ruling, it could be several weeks. Are you going to lay out any new additional tariffs before?
I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to hope that we win. I can't imagine that anybody would do that kind of devastation to our country. You know, we'd have to pay back trillions of dollars. We've taken in trillions. We haven't taken in billions. We've taken in trillions of dollars. We've made trade deals based on that give us, as an example, European Union, $950 billion. Japan, $650 billion. South Korea, $350 billion. Without this, we're not talking about that kind of money. And they're okay. They're satisfied. They love us. I just left. They all love us. So it's not like we're such bad people. But they were doing it to us until I came along.
Yeah, let's hope that this works out well. A lot of folks are praying about it, and man, it's been playing havoc on many minds because they're wondering what's going to happen with the tariffs. They're saying that it's a tax. Well, it's amazing that Obama was able to push Obamacare through, remember, and they said it was a tax. He said, no, it's not a tax. He kept saying, no, it's not a tax. And then the Supreme Court came together and they said it's a tax. And they're like, we don't care. What did the Democrats do? They shoved it through anyway. And that's what President Trump's talking about. If you guys don't get with the program and get rid of this filibuster, you know they're going to do whatever they want. And I don't understand sometimes, folks, why in the world, when they get in power, do they push through everything that they want to push through, fight tooth and nail, and yet the Republicans just seem to sit back? The rhinos, they don't seem to be moving that far or doing that much, right? It seems so strange. And then President Trump has to bring them together to have a talk with them to say, look, when are you guys going to get with the program and start fighting? Huh?
I'll tell you, the White House is always preparing for Plan B. It would be imprudent of the president's advisors not to prepare for such a situation. With that said, we are 100% confident in the president and his team's legal argument in the merits of the law in this case, and we remain optimistic that the Supreme Court is going to do the right thing. The importance of this case cannot be overstated. The president must have the emergency authority to utilize tariffs. Look at what President Trump has been able to do with the leverage and the power of tariffs. He's been able to sign peace deals all over the world and end global conflicts and literally save lives. He's been able to bring in trillions of dollars of investments into our country. In fact, this year alone, we are going to cut the deficit by $600 billion, namely because of the president's effective use of tariffs. And the president strongly believes that economic security is a matter of national security, and tariffs have a lot to do with that. And this case is not just about President Trump. It's about the use of this emergency authorization for tariffs for future presidents and administrations to come. And we're confident and hopeful that the Supreme Court will do the right thing.
Yep, we are hopeful. They'll do the right thing, but there's a lot of speculation out there. There's lib newspapers, of course, mainstream media saying that President Trump can't implement a tax on he can't do that. He doesn't have the power. They're doing all they can. The world leaders are probably behind it too. Hey, Supreme Court better do what we want. We don't want these tariffs affecting us. Why is it that their countries, they're allowed to do whatever they want to us? Tariff us to death. And the moment that we try to play back the games they play against us and steal all of our money, our Supreme Court has to get involved. And all of a sudden, people are speculating. And then if the Supreme Court knocks it down and says, nope, we got to pay all the money back, then what in the world is going on? Why do they get to take all of our money from us? Doesn't make sense to me. We're learning. The Supreme Court, though, on the other hand, we've gotten a lot of wins. Another one, they dealt another major win to the Trump administration, allowing them to require the sex designation on U.S. passports to align with the traveler's biological sex. Wow. Displaying passport holder sex of birth no more offends equal protection principles than displaying their country of birth. In both cases, the government is merely attesting to a historical fact without subjecting anyone to differential treatment, the court said. My goodness, why do they have to use big words? Why can't they just say, folks, simply put, a man is a man, woman's a woman. If you're a man, you're going to put man. If you're a woman, you can put woman. Male, female. That's it. Easy.
But can you imagine when they vote almost unanimously against voter ID? All we want is voter ID. You go to a grocery store, you have to give ID. You go to a gas station, you give ID. But for voting, they want no voter ID. That's only for one reason, because they cheat. We would pass that in 15 minutes.
15 minutes, we'd pass it. Voter ID. Why is it so difficult, folks? Why can we just fly all these people in from around the world, tell them to go vote as much as you want, vote multiple times, go get some mail-in ballots while you throw those in the boxes, and then you can go back home because they don't need ID. So they can continue to cheat all they want, no matter how much you clean up, get out the illegals, remove them, whatever. They're going to continue to reprint the ballots like crazy. They're going to have people flown in from all over the world to vote on voting day, and they're going to ship them back home. And they're going to say, okay, good. Thank you for coming. We put you in a hotel. Okay, you can go home now. Thank you for voting. I mean, they're going to always figure out how to get it all done. It happens everywhere.
As a routine cleanup of a homeless encampment near Elder Creek and Mayhew Roads in Sacramento County quickly turned into a criminal investigation after deputies made a surprising discovery.
Just hundreds of items of stolen mail, but more alarming were roughly 100 pieces of voting material.
Voting material found in the trash with the homeless in Sacramento. All kinds of just strange things that play out in California for all of us to witness.
Review by whom and why. And also in this vein, does the White House still plan to issue an executive order banning mail-in voting, and what legal authority do you have to do that?
The White House is working on an executive order to strengthen our elections in this country and to ensure that there cannot be blatant fraud as we've seen in California with their universal mail-in voting system. It's absolutely true that there's fraud in California's elections. It's just a fact. It is just a fact. They have a universal mail-in voting system, which we know is ripe for fraud. And if you want to deny that, I'm happy to provide you all of the evidence for it. I'd be glad to send that to you after this briefing.
Rigged.
Fraudulent ballots that are being mailed in the names of other people, in the names of illegal aliens who shouldn't be voting in American elections. There's countless examples, and we'd be happy to provide them. As for executive action the White House is taking, yes, we are looking into that. And like any executive order, of course, any executive order the president signs is within his full executive authority and within the confines of the law.
Within the confines of the law. They're looking into it. Yes, there's illegal voting going on. It's weird because if you look at your screen here, you kind of look at these reporters. This one right here, the one that's asking questions right over here. You wonder what in the world is wrong with them. Why do they ask such obvious questions? They ask it like, "Are you sure? Really? There's really illegal voting going on in California? Come on now, seriously?" And they just act like they're all uppity up, and we're the ones that hold the keys to the truth. And, I went to school and I learned that you guys are a bunch of liars, and I can't stand Trump, and you guys just make this stuff up. No matter how much is placed in front of them, no matter how many times Caroline Leavitt brings it up, shows it on the screen, shows the receipts, there she is. They keep acting like, are you sure? Wait, let me ask you a question again. No, I'm going to question you as if I know more than you. Just absolutely ridiculous. All she had to do is this reporter just go out there on social media and she'll find things like this.
So I have a crazy story about voting in California. I voted by mail, so no biggie, but my mom went and voted in person. And the guy pulls up the, screen for her or whatever of what you're supposed to vote. And it's only coming up, yes. And my mom's like, this is not giving me a voting option. And he's like, yeah, you just press that button. And she's like, no, that's not what I want to vote. It's not giving me another option. It's only saying yes. And he was like, well, that's just hit that button and that's your vote. She's like, no. They had to call somebody else over, and she was like, excuse me, I'm not getting an option on what to vote for. So the lady had to back out and re-go in and set her up where it'll say yes or no. But the guy was only setting her up for yes. Tell me how that's not fully rigged. Gavin Newsom be up to some shady stuff, because the guy literally only gave her the option to vote yes. My 78-year-old mom. Thank goodness she's wise and savvy, and she was like, no, and no, sir. But tell me they ain't rigging the election. Give me a break.
They certainly are.
Vote no, people. Vote no.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Showing you once again, folks are getting out there, they're recording and saying, let me tell you what happened to me. Thousands of them. Conservatives are also pointing to inconsistencies in the New Jersey gubernatorial race after nearly 500,000 new voters appeared from 2021 to 2025, more than double the state's population growth over 4 years, with almost all of them, all 500,000 new voters, going to Democrats. It's impossible. They cheat.
The mayor of Coldwater accused of election fraud. The charges come hours after he secured a second term in office. Attorney General Chris Kobach charged Mayor Jose Joe Ceballos with 6 felonies, 3 counts each of voting without being qualified and election perjury. Kobach claims Ceballos is lawfully living in the U.S., but is a citizen of Mexico, making him ineligible to vote. The AG alleges the mayor illegally cast ballots in the August 2024 primary and November 2022 and 2023 general elections.
In large part, our system right now is based on trust. Trust that when the person signed the registration or signs the poll books saying that he's a qualified elector or that he is a United States citizen, that the person is telling the truth.
We reached out to Mayor Ceballos for comment, but have not heard back yet. The Coldwater City Council, though, released a statement on social media saying the mayor called them in for a special meeting over the noon hour to, quote, discuss recent events that have transpired with the Kansas Attorney General's office. While the recent allegations involving the mayor are understandably concerning, we will allow the proper legal
We're going to allow the proper legal process to play out for this guy that's not supposed to be doing this. Yeah, sounds like that's what's going to be happening in New York, right? Mamdani says white neighborhoods should pay higher property taxes. The price is white, says New York Post on their cover of their paper. They're about to learn the lessons the hard way. And there's not much that can be done about it. Sometimes you got to show them. I don't know. Many people are saying that central casting, we know that Mamdani's an actor. And it's all part of the show. No need to panic. Again, part of the show, too, is strange, is this Nancy Pelosi character. The witch officially announced that she will not seek re-election. 38 years in the same seat in Congress. She's 85 years old. Here's what Trump said.
I think she's an evil woman. I'm glad she's retiring. I think she did the country a great service by retiring. I think she was a tremendous liability for the country.
And on Dick Cheney?
I thought she was an evil woman who did a poor job, who cost the country a lot in damages and in reputation. I thought she was terrible.
Terrible. Somebody didn't think she was too bad. Listen to what was said on the Communist News Network. Scott Jennings, how he kind of baits them, talks nice about Pelosi, and then he does the old switcheroo to get them.
Many of them, she made them really angry, but at the end of the day, there was often grudging respect for some of the things skills that she brought to the table.
Oh yeah, there were people who respected her legislative ability and, being a political boss. I mean, she was the boss of her conference.
Nancy D'Alessandro.
And,
Yep.
and there is, for political operators, a lot of respect for that. I tell you this, I don't know how much we raised over the years off of sending out fundraising appeals based on Nancy Pelosi,
Ooh.
but it was a metric butt ton. I'm telling you right now, putting Nancy Pelosi in fundraising mail or fundraising emails would always produce. And by the way, it's not often that someone can become a titan of both Washington and Wall Street. Republicans will remember her as one of the most successful and prolific day traders. She beat the S&P 500 by 559% in her stock portfolio. She's worth a lot of money. She did an amazing job. So what a blow for the financial houses today on Wall Street. I'm sure they're mourning.
Just getting in an elbow, right?
Yeah, really trying to get in some opposition research.
That's a classic Scott Jennings, by the way. Like, I'm beginning to view what you just did there as like the Scott Jennings on TV.
I want Trump to put her in charge of the Social Security Administration. We could all retire in 6 months if we let this lady manage our portfolios.
Do you know what I think is, for me was, I
Oh, do they look happy? Do they look happy? If you're looking at your screen, she's turned her face. Nope. She's leaning back. She's like, I don't want to hear this. And then she's like, let me change the subject real quick. I got my earpiece saying, stop him, stop him. And this guy's sitting there like, well, I don't know. They had it coming. Way to go, Scott Jennings. Alrighty, Ro. Well, folks, we've got a big thing coming. Thankful Thursdays are here and we know it's so exciting. Check this out.
For our first Thankful Thursday this week, we are giving you a whole pack from Pet Club with any purchase you make from the site. You'll get a 12-ounce pack of coffee, a bag of their double chocolate chips, 2 mush puppy bags, and 2 bags of the chill doggies. We love partnering with Pet Club and are so excited to give this out to you guys. This is while supplies last, and there's no code necessary, so just add anything to your cart and all of this will automatically be added.
Thankful Thursdays. We love them, don't we? So you get there to our site, shop.amweknow.com, and you get a goodie for thanking you so much for all that you guys do to support us. You know, we've got the embroidered collection now, Make Heaven Crowded, Jesus Saves, with the And We Know logo on there. We also have John 14:27. You'll love those shirts. We have the Follow Me and I Will Make You Fishers of Men, Matthew 4:19. We also have the And We Know polos, some updated looks and colors for everyone. If you head on over to the store, shop.amweknow.com, it's in the description box below, by the way, if you want to get these deals. All you have to do is you click on what's new, right? If you want to see what all the new products that we've got out there. We got the And We Know microfiber golf towel, the And We Know joggers, the rhinestone keychains, the crossbody bag fanny, the golf gift pack. Man, you get a shirt and you get golf balls and more. You get all types of like the Henley t-shirts, the long sleeve performance tees with hoodies. Everybody loves those. You got And We Know on the side of this shirt on the arm. A lot of folks were asking for those. You see how we have And We Know on the side there, and you have different colors available there. So thank you so much for supporting us, and we are just, overwhelmed, and these Thankful Thursdays will continue to play out for so many in the future. So now, an important reminder of a Q drop from It's Jordan Clark. Thanks to Joe Lang for this reminder. Read this drop carefully. It's a Q drop that dropped on one of the most important days in this war from November 5th, 2017. Important to archive. Okay? This drop is very important for the future. Twice, we're warned to stay alert for false flags. So I'm going to read it. Okay? It is being safeguarded for the transmissions, but not 100% secure. Above and next drops have high probability of shutting down. Who owns the pole? Why is this platform being used, the Q platform? What recent events almost occurred regarding the pole? Why is this relevant? Stay alert in main U.S. cities, D.C., sporting events, and other conservative gatherings. Repeat. Stay alert in the main U.S. cities, D.C., sporting events, and other conservative gatherings. More false flags imminent. Elections Tuesday no longer matter at this stage. Elections no longer matter at this stage. Snow White, Godfather 3 above will have context as news unfolds, summarize and paint the picture critical. So, twice we're warned to stay alert. False flags are acts of violence to control the narrative. We are experiencing a lot more violence from the left-wing nut jobs of the Democrat Party, aren't we? The Q posts this important statement that most people have missed. Elections no longer matter at this stage. This was from back in 2017. Why would Q say that elections no longer matter? Because we are engaged in a war. This is no longer about politics. It's no longer about Republicans versus Democrats or liberals versus conservatives. Our government is completely controlled by foreign puppet masters. The politicians on both sides are just puppets. November 5th, 2017 was the day Prince Alaouid was arrested. No coincidences. Remember, he was the one that was trafficking children, was busted, a billionaire, I believe. The election fraud exposure in the courts was never going to happen in Trump's first term. Trump was never supposed to win. Ever. We were told that the military prevented Hillary from stealing the election in 2016 and also prevented Obama from declaring that Trump cheated. Q drop portion of 36. These are crumbs, and you cannot imagine the full and complete picture. If Trump failed, if we failed, and HRC assumed control, we as patriots were prepared to do the unthinkable. This was leaked internally and kept the delegate recount scam and Barack Obama from declaring fraud. Dig deeper. Missing critical points to paint the full picture. There is simply no other way than to use the military. It's that corrupt and dirty. Please be safe and pray for those in harm's way as they continually protect and serve our great country. Then in 2020, the military allowed, quote unquote, allowed Biden to steal the election in order to prevent the likelihood of a civil war, which would have probably cost millions of lives. Biden was a fake president. Trump was a president in exile. Here's my main point. The reason why I think the Q said that elections no longer mattered back in 2017 was because there's massive fraud in our elections in every state. We know that. It's nationwide. I believe that Trump wrote a PEAD that set aside our entire election system as unconstitutional because it was completely corrupted and controlled, by foreign puppet masters. What is a PEAD? In government and emergency management, PEAD refers to presidential emergency action documents, prepared executive orders, and proclamations designed to be enacted quickly during national emergencies, such as nuclear attacks or other crises that impair normal government operations. As I pointed out in my last two Substack articles, the majority of the Supreme Court and the FISA court understand that Trump is a wartime president and that we are at war against insurgency that has completely infiltrated our entire government. That is why the court challenges to the 2020 election fraud were denied for lack of standing. Trump is waiting for the right time to expose it. War. The military is following the counterinsurgency manual, and it's playing out before our very eyes. Meltdowns are ramping up on MSDNC. They are shook about Brennan potentially being indicted in Florida.
Well, so John Brennan is one of the key figures in what really is a massive and sprawling investigation as envisioned down in South Florida. And the reason it's down there, and that's new, we're reporting today that the U.S. Attorney in South Florida is leading this investigation, is because that's where the Mar-a-Lago search was. And so what they're trying to do here is knit together what they see as an ongoing conspiracy to violate Donald Trump's civil rights that began with the Russia investigation and continued on from Obama administration to Biden administration, and then somehow includes the Jack Smith investigations. It's this unified field theory of persecuting Donald Trump. And John Brennan, of course, was a central figure in the preparation of that 2017 assessment into Russian election interference. And of course, the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane investigation figures into that. How this all shakes out, Katie, is anyone's guess because, we've not seen any evidence connecting any of these things, let alone any wrongdoing. And in point of fact, as you well know, John Durham, the special counsel appointed in the Trump administration, looked exhaustively, particularly at the Russian interference assessment and at the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane investigation, and found no criminal wrongdoing by John Brennan or any other major figure. But here the Justice Department is trying to take another crack at it.
So grand jury subpoenas are rolling out in Florida. MSDNC's in full-blown panic over what's coming. One possibility is treason. You guys know what happens with treason? Carries no statute of limitations at all. They're in big trouble. Now, here's what I've been waiting for a long time throughout this video. I couldn't wait to get to it. You're looking at a picture. Let me see if I can get to a bigger picture. Oh, there it is. There's a big photo right there of Dan Scavino, and he's got 17 people sitting at a table, and they all have the thumbs up. And the thumbs up are done in such a way that Dan Scavino puts the last thumbs up to give it the letter Q. And he says what? Don't mean to have Dems upset tonight, but it's Team Trump's 1-year anniversary of winning the historical 2024 presidential election where you, the American people, reclaimed our government, restored sovereignty. I'm going to say it again. Restored sovereignty, rescued our economy, regained our liberty, and together saved America. If you're looking at your screen, folks, do you remember this picture when you downloaded it off the Q board and the title was Do It Q? And we were told 1 billion coincidence. Enjoy the show tonight. And we were told, if you look at the Q board back then on the Chan, right? If you look at Q 2100, it says, I could do this every day. Go to the page, right click the pic, save the picture, and you check it, and it says the name of the picture is doitq.jpg. And what did they do, folks? They waited until when? November 7th. November 7th, 2018, we were told red line on the anniversary of Red October. Now, what are the odds of that? They're celebrating an anniversary dinner of the winning of President Trump, and we were told red line on the anniversary. The anniversary of the win. Red line on the anniversary. Let's draw that red line. The red line on the anniversary. 1 year. Save America. Do it, Q. Q 1133-17. The anniversary. November 7th. The dinner. Number 17. It doesn't get any better than that, does it? Isn't that cool? Don't you just love it, folks, that we're on this side of history, learning so much more about how this all plays out for us? All the things that we're learning day after day is playing out before our very eyes. Now let's go to the medical side and see what we're learning about that.
Obama made you buy health insurance, and Biden made you pay less, but only temporarily. And now both parties are letting your premium skyrocket in 2025. And it's not by accident. It's a bribe. Biden's discounts expire in 2025, and your bill goes up by 200 to 300%. Right now, if your premium is $600 a month, you pay $400 a month. And the government sends $200 straight to the insurance companies. That's $24 billion a year in free money to big insurance. But in 2025, those discounts disappear, and your bill goes back to $600 or higher. Why? Because Democrats let it happen. They know, and they don't care. They expanded these subsidies in 2021 temporarily, not to help you, to buy votes in 2022 and 2024. Now the election is over, and your bill goes up. But their donors, they're still getting paid. Here's the real thing that should piss you off. This isn't about health care. It's a cash pipeline to insurance companies. They lobby for subsidies. They donate to keep them coming. And when the subsidies expire, they blame the other side while raking in billions. Trump didn't create this. Obama did. And Biden extended it, but only until after the election. And now they're gridlocked because the real election is over. The real campaign, insurance companies versus you. They win and you lose. They're not fighting for you. The Democrats are fighting for their next campaign donation check from United Healthcare, Pfizer, and Blue Cross. They know what's coming. They know your premiums are about to explode if they haven't already, and they know that you'll be begging for relief this year. And they know that you'll blame the other party while they cash their checks. They shut the government down over $6 billion for Ukraine, but $24 billion a year for insurance companies? Not a peep. Because that money isn't for you, it's for them. You're the hostage, and they're the kidnappers. When your bill doubles in 2025, remember they knew, they let it happen, and they'll do it again because you keep falling for it. Democrats or Republicans, neither side work for you. So stop voting for either side and arguing amongst yourselves like they do. Share this if you're sick of it.
Yep. Both sides. That's what we were just talking about. You know, I saw this guy post this about our government, right? When they try to run programs like our healthcare, why can't we just run it on our own? Why does the government have to get involved? Listen to this.
You can get a plumber to your house in the middle of the night within an hour. But if you go to the ER, you could wait 6 hours. Why? The federal government never tried to make plumbing affordable and accessible.
Ooh.
You can buy an 85-inch television for $1,000, but a dialysis machine costs $30,000. Why? The federal government never tried to make televisions affordable and accessible. You can get LASIK surgery done for $1,500 because it's not covered by Medicare or Medicaid, because it's elective. But if you get a major surgery, it could cost you $100,000. Why? The federal government never tried to make LASIK affordable and accessible. Socialism is killing every industry it touches. You can get a
Socialism. How about just the government getting involved in everything in our lives? And I'm sick and tired of those folks that say, oh, the government needs to take care of our health care. No. They need to get away from it. Really had enough. So something very interesting happened when President Trump brought up Ozempic. Listen to this.
Drastic discounts and very effective drugs. And so far, I've never heard anything bad about them. I only hear good about them. But is there anything bad about them, Bobby? I haven't heard anything bad.
He said, is there anything bad about them? I only hear good about them. And he looks at RFK Jr. and he says, Bobby, what do you think?
Someday maybe it'll come out, which will notify
He said, someday maybe it will come out, which will notify you immediately.
you immediately. But so far, I haven't heard that, including the drugs known as Zepbound and Wegovy, often called Ozempic. This is a triumph for American patients that will save lives and improve.
Ozempic, the drug known as Ozempic, and they're all laughing. Look what happens right after President Trump brings this up, the guy that runs Ozempic.
And creating high-value jobs. But today, we... Oh, are you okay? Gordon, you okay?
There he goes. Down he goes.
Yeah.
So supposedly President Trump is cutting the price of all this stuff by 96%. The maker of the poison collapses in the Oval Office on live TV in front of the President of the United States. Huh? What are we watching? They put his feet up in the air, almost like those that thought that they could stand up over everyone and lord it over us. All of a sudden, they've got their feet in the air, showing that they have to then submit to us. And there's President Trump standing at his desk looking at the press while all this is playing out. Watch RFK Jr. as this happens. So he falls, then RFK Jr. looks over and he turns and he walks the other direction. President Trump looks at him, stares at him, and he's down. Kind of interesting because the last time the granddaughter of Dr. Oz has fainted after Trump says, your life will be in great danger, you'll see what happened back then.
You'll all be very unhappy.
Have you spoken with she? Who is leading those trade talks?
Oh my God.
Mr. President.
And she collapsed. Do you guys remember that? Yeah, she went down. This time, a guy faints with Dr. Oz again in the room as they discuss the price of Ozempic. It's really strange. And you got Oz, right? Like the President Trump wearing the yellow tie, like the yellow brick road. And you've got Oz, right? Like you're watching a movie like The Wizard of Oz. Very strange. What do you guys think? What do you think about all this? And so supposedly the prices, people say, well, why is he pushing big pharma into everyone in our faces? And I get it. My only answer, and this is just me, I'm human, I don't have all the answers to everything, folks. The only thing I can think of is that you've got millions and millions of people who won't watch our show, won't watch mainstream media. They go to work every day, they're tired, their kid's sick, they run to the hospital, and they're still depending on medication for everything. Or they have to get their prescription filled. Then they go out and, you see them in the lines at the CVS or Walgreens, and there's millions of them. They don't know what's going on. It's like, but they're hurting. They're spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on pills that probably only cost $5. They're heading over to, the border into, Mexico, and they're getting their medicine real cheap, and then they head back to the United States. But, why are they mistreating us? And so I'm just saying, for the normies out there, they're going to be happy that the prices are going to come down because they're going to use this stuff anyway. You following me? That's just the way I look at it. What do you guys think? So RFK Jr. talked about it a little bit.
President Trump is the friend of the forgotten American. Obesity is a disease of poverty, overwhelmingly. And these drugs have only been available for people who have wealth. At one point, the majority of prescriptions, the highest concentration of prescriptions in this country, was the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And what about the people who live in rural areas, who live in food deserts? What about the people in urban areas who live in food deserts and are suffering from obesity and are locked into that system where they can only get ultra-processed foods, which are aggravating the problem? This will be a lifesaver to them. It's not a panacea. It's not a silver bullet. President Trump has also instructed us to address and end the root causes of chronic disease, and we're doing that. We're about to release dietary guidelines that are going to change the food culture in this country. They're going to change the kind of food the military gets. They're going to change the kind of food that our children get. We're releasing those in December.
So basically, he's pointing out we have an obesity problem. They're going to give these people this stuff anyway for those that are in big trouble. And he's working behind the scenes to get rid of this food culture that we live in, especially in America, where everyone's eating fast food, sugar all day, every day, and it's affecting our health. And they're working behind the scenes to clean up our food and more. A little bit on Ozempic and lawsuits.
The $2 billion lawsuit for Ozempic just hit. And what's coming out is truly horrifying. Muscle wasting. And we're not talking a little, we're talking 20 years of muscle lost in only 1 year of taking this. Doctors say losing this much muscle contributes to you aging faster, losing strength in your heart, destroys your metabolism. It gets scarier though. Plaintiffs developed gastroparesis, which means stomach paralysis. Food just sits in their stomach, just rotting. Imagine being so backed up you vomit for days. You end up in the ER. They have to shove a tube down your nose just to empty out your stomach. And for some of the plaintiffs, they have said their whole gastrointestinal tract cannot function anymore, can't even move. That's not bad enough. Patients are reporting losing their teeth because this medication will dry out all of the mucous membranes. And what happens is if you're not having healthy saliva, it affects your teeth so quickly. Nightmare doesn't stop there. There are cases of sudden permanent blindness, according to the documents. Waking up one day with no vision, no way to bring it back ever. Yeah, and pancreatitis and kidney failure. So $2 billion for this lawsuit is just the beginning, according to the lawyers. Ask yourself, is the shot worth losing your strength, your independence, your smile, possibly even life-altering consequences?
The Ozempic lawsuit. All this playing out before our very eyes. President Trump said 2025 Thanksgiving dinner under Trump is 25% lower than 2024 Thanksgiving dinner under Biden, according to Walmart. My costs are lower than Democrats on everything, especially oil and gas, so the Democrats' affordability issue is dead. Stop lying. And we are learning more when it comes to the money side about our precious metals. There are scoffers out there. Oh, looks like LT was wrong. You know, silver price is going down. Oh, who does he think he is? Well, I'm telling you right now, our expert, Dr. Kirk Elliott, folks, when we started a couple of years ago, was nailing it. And he's always keeping us updated on these issues. Small little ticks in life and how reality hits. But I'm telling you right now, when he was back there, it was $18, $19. We were recording him back then. People were laughing then, saying, oh, silver, I don't know what he's talking about. Then it went to 20, then 22, then 25, then 30, then 35, then 40, then 45, then 40. And people are like, oh, no. And it's going to keep going up. And he keeps warning everyone. We have another video coming out tomorrow. You're going to see this precious metals rebound, ? Coming up. There's a clip from tomorrow's interview.
It's going to start going up from here because there is so much upward pressure on these markets. There's massive amounts of demand, very little supply. Yeah. London has run out. The lease rates are high. Refineries aren't manufacturing right now. I mean, it's insane. All of that is a propellant to move metals prices upward.
So the prices are going to go upward. And he gives a great example of why, and you guys will hear about that in tomorrow's interview. And we know.com/gold. If you want to reach out to him now, it's a great time to do it. You can click on that in the description box below. It'll do you good. And so here's some more just real quick I wanted to before we close today on that strange thing that happened with that the UPS flight.
The simulation is simulating. Y'all better pay attention. something is happening again. And if you've been paying attention, you could feel it. New York just got a new man. I don't think people understand what just got activated. In the last 3 days, 3 major things happened. Now, I'm going to say some things without saying them, so I'm going to need you to pay attention. The former vice president during 9/11, Dick Cheney, just passed away November 3rd. The same week, New York elects its first Muslim mayor, Mandani. And right in the middle of that, a UPS cargo plane goes down in Kentucky. Flight number 2976. The number of people who died in the 9/11 attack? 2976. The same exact number. That UPS cargo plane that crashed at Muhammad Ali International Airport? One of the hijackers from 9/11? Khalid Muhammad. This ain't coincidence. This is choreography. The mayor of Louisville said 9 people died and 11 injured. 9/11. That plane that crashed, it used to be a passenger jet that retired 9 years and 11 days before that accident. Every number, every headline, looping like a ritual on replay. Now let me ask you a question. You really think that's random? Mandani, born October 18th, 1991. From his birth to Trump's inauguration this year, 33 years. You know how long the towers stood before they fell? 33 years. And that UPS jet, it reached only 175 feet before it went down. Same as Flight 175, the second plane on 9/11. They said that same plane had a 33% load factor. Every single number matching. It's not a pattern. That's a program. The simulation can't hide itself. It repeats itself until you wake up. You could call that math, or you could call that fate, or the Matrix. But when the same codes show up at the same time, after the same people, in the same cities, that's not news. That's a reset. Look at the sky calendar. We just passed an eclipse that crossed every state tied to 9/11 responders. And I want you to go down the rabbit holes and tell me what you think. I'm out.
Very interesting. What do you guys think? It's just strange things playing out day after day in front of us. You know, the Trump State Department, led by Secretary Marco Rubio, has revoked the visas of 80,000 individuals since January.
The investigation, which began over a year ago, centered on a home where 3 to 5 men at a time would be waiting in line outside. This video shot by the WBRZ shows Homeland Security going in and out of one of the residences where authorities say a sex ring was operating. According to a federal indictment from the Middle District, 3 Honduran nationals were running a sex trafficking operation from that home on Nicholson and another on Astor near LSU. Zaira Lopez Oliva, Jesus Lopez, Kirsis Castellanos Carrington were all indicted this afternoon. Homeland Security began investigating in August of last year and were finally able to make arrests last month after a sting operation confirmed what was going on inside. The indictment says the clientele were given a menu of available women through WhatsApp with prices, usually paying $40 to $60. Some of those women were trafficked from Houston and New Jersey.
There we go. 16,000 visas revoked, DUI, 12,000 revoked for assault, 8,000 revoked for theft. And when somebody tries to tell you nothing's happening, folks, you add all these up day after day, week after week, since President Trump assumed public office in front of us again. It's been absolutely amazing. Yeah. You know, another thing amazing is former Congressman Matt Gaetz posted a picture. Looks like a stack of, I don't know, maybe books or something on. And he took a picture of the letter Q sprayed in orange on that particular stack. And it's amazing because it was posted November 6th, 2025. Important moment in time. The picture will be the signifier. The signifier will force the Q. The Q will be answered. Interesting. November 6th. They want one thing and only one thing, power. They will lie, cheat, and promise you the world to obtain it. They do not love our country. They despise it. They want to destroy it. Show your love of country by voting today, right? Return power to the people. Return old glory to her former state. We honor those who fought and continue to fight. to save and defend this great country. We will do our part. Will you do yours? Justice coming. That is a huge calm for all of us to remember by spray painting that Q and posting it for the world to see. So much going on the comm side, folks. It's almost difficult to keep up with it all. But we're learning. It's growing. Day after day, we are getting more and more excited because we see and learn and grow together on how much more this is playing out. So let's remember to stay in prayer. Watch this moving across our screens and across our lives. Take care of our neighbors and in the own world that we live in, the world that we live in with our children, our grandchildren, and more. We just remember that our country's being taken care of one day at a time. Where would we be if none of this happened, if none of it played out? Remember that 1 billion coincidence. Enjoy the show.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you again, thanking you so much for how you continue to guide and direct our lives in so many amazing ways. You found it in your wisdom to allow a group of folks to get together many decades ago to say, you know what, we're going to put together a plan guided by the Holy Spirit through a lot of scripture, and we're going to lay this plan out so that many will be able to get their true information of what's going on behind the scenes to help everyone day after day. Thank you for that. We thank you for the Word of God, who continues to be so wonderful to guide and direct our lives daily in everything that we do with our children, with our spouses, with our friends, and our family. Thank you for the reminder that you care about us, that your grace and mercy sustains us more than we could ever imagine. Your love for us is beyond comparison to anything we've ever experienced before. Many folks are hurting, many that want to travel, many that are hurting in their pocketbooks, many that are suffering with no food and more. You see it all, you hear all, and understand it. May we rise up as neighbors, love on those who need it, give food to those who need it, and more. Thank you so much for your continued protection over President Trump and his family and those that are in harm's way, the leaders who are fighting this evil cabal throughout this entire earth. We bring this before you in the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen and amen. Folks, thank you so much for your prayers. Thank you for sticking around for this video. And just that quick reminder that we have the Thankful Thursdays playing out with the Pet Club, LT Pet Club, 247.com handouts that are coming your way with every purchase at shop.amweknow.com. And also remember, we've got a great cruise coming up March 15th through 22nd. Go to amweknow.com. Sign up for that cruise, folks. We'd love to see you. For now, this is LT Semper Fi. Have a great weekend with Am We Know, signing out.
I was only setting her up for yes. Tell me how that's not fully rigged. Gavin Newsom be up to some shady stuff because the guy literally only gave her the option to vote yes. My 78-year-old mom. Thank goodness she's like wise and savvy, and she was like, no, and no, sir.
There's fraud in California's elections. It's just a fact. It is just a fact. They have a universal mail-in voting system, which we know is ripe for fraud.
The mayor of Coldwater accused of election fraud. The charges come hours after he secured a second term in office. Attorney General Chris Kobach charged Mayor Jose Joe Ceballos with 6 felonies, 3 counts each of voting without being qualified and election perjury.
But can you imagine when they vote almost unanimously against voter ID? All we want is voter ID. You go to a grocery store, you have to give ID. You go to a gas station, you give ID. But for voting, they want no voter ID. That's only for one reason, because they cheat. We would pass that in 15 minutes.